In this episode, we're going to create the graphical user interface for upgrading our character after leveling. Hello, and welcome to how to create a Vampire Survivors clone in Godot 4. So in today, we're going to be creating the graphical user interface for the leveling. We're not actually going to be doing any upgrades, we're just going to be creating the graphical user interface for it, and so we're just going to get right to it. So the first thing we're going to be doing is adding a panel, which I'm just going to get my reference up. There we go. And we're going to be calling this level up. So a panel is just like a transparent background. And you may notice that there's a history tab here now. That's because we upgraded to the beta 5, and while this is a really cool new feature, I'm just going to drag and drop this to be away from where it was, just so it's a little bit less annoying. So in the layout of our panel, I'm going to be making this 200 pixels by 250 pixels, and we want this to end up being like in the center of the screen. So I'm just going to make this 220 pixels, which in your math is in the center, and this is actually all we need to do for our level up. The only thing I may do as well is make it access as a unique path. Then we need to add a label as a child. I'm also going to be adding a VBox and a VBox container, which is just like a container that sort of, when you add children, it kind of stacks them on top of each other in a vertical sense. You'll get to see it later. And then I'm also going to be adding an audio sound 2D, not a 2D, but just a regular audio stream player. And this is going to contain our leveling sound. So I'm just going to add this right now. We're going to play it. Now, you may need to make sure that the loop is set to false. I've done this tutorial a couple of times, just had some technical issues, so I'm just re-recording it. But anyway, I reckon it's a little bit loud, so I'm going to reduce the volume by 10 decibels, and I think that is much nicer. Now I'm just going to be renaming these to something more appropriate. Label level up. And the VBox is going to be called upgrade options. And the audio is going to be called sound level up. And I'm going to be making this access as unique scene and this access as unique, well, not access as unique scene, access as unique name. So now we need to space this out. So the first thing I think we're going to be doing is with our label, we're going to be adding our font. So OTF. To get our font, we're going to go into theme override, fonts, and I'm just going to drag and drop this into here, and we're just going to type in level up exclamation mark. Now, I want this to be 200 wide, so 200, and then I'm also going to want this to be pixel 50. So it kind of expands beyond this thing. Oh, well, it expands beyond the panel. Now, in terms of getting it to where we want, I'm going to use the horizontal alignment center and the vertical alignment center to get it sort of in the center. For our upgrades, we're just going to be transforming this again. We're going to be making this 180, so 20 pixels less than the entire size of the panel. And we're also going to be making this a size 50. We're also going to be making it 10 pixels inwards and then 50 pixels down. And the idea is that we're going to add stuff in here, and it's just going to kind of expand as we add children into the upgrade options. And I believe this is actually all we need to really do before we start adding in code. So I'm just going to do a Control S to save. I'm going to go to code, and I am going to add the newly added nodes as onReady variables. So onReady var level panel is going to equal get node percentage sign, there we go, level up at onReady var upgrade options is going to equal get node, and this is just going to be upgrade options, and then the sound on ready var sound level up going to equal get node sound underscore level up. Alright, so we've done the onReady's var. So now we need to add our function. So we're going to be creating a function called level up. And we are going to be calling it. So I'm just going to do a colon pass just to get it in there. So we are going to be calling this at the very end of this calculate experience. So I'm just going to call level up. Level up function, and the first thing we're going to be doing is getting our text within this experience label to run in here. Well, actually, I think the first thing we're going to do is make sure that the sound level up actually plays. So sound level up play, so we get the sound of leveling up. We then change the text, and afterwards, I think we're going to actually tween this. So instead of this level up defaulting into the center, I want this to be 800 pixels from the center from where we were before. So and we're going to use a tween to make this quickly go into the center when we level. So I'm going to do a var tween equals level panel dot create tween. And we specifically want to set this on the level panel for pausing, which we'll explain later. Then we're going to tween the property. So tween.tween property. And we're going to be doing this on our level panel. We're going to be changing the position. We're going to be setting the final value to a vector to 2020, 220 by 50, which is what the center was before, and we're going to be doing this call over 0.2 seconds. We're also going to be setting the trans time to quint, so set trans quint, and then dot set ease in. Absolutely fantastic. So then we just have to play the tween, so tween dot play. And the other thing I'm going to do is that I'm just going to have this as invisible to begin with, and we're going to make it visible in our code. So level panel dot visible equals true. And then the next thing we're going to be doing is pausing our game. So get tree dot paused equals true. Now, if we pause our game like this, and this just gets the tree and it pauses everything here, what you'll find is that if we scroll down to process, you'll see this mode with a drop down, and this is basically how it handles the pause mechanic. So everything defaults to inherit, so it inherits from its parent. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting level up to process when paused. So we're going to set this to process pause, and this it'll impact every single child of the pause mechanic because all of them will inherit their parent. So that's kind of how that works. So now that we have done this, I'm just going to remove that since we no longer need it. If I go into the world and I add, let's say, an experience gem, and I'm going to give this 10 experience. I'm going to just hold down Alt to move it. If I now play this and I level, I'll get a tween which will shoot the level up panel towards my player, and the game is paused. Now, I don't have any way to move out, so we'll complete the next step with getting out. So before I do anything, I'm going to be creating a function that we're going to be making in advanced called function upgrade underscore character, and it's going to have an upgrade argument. we're just going to make this pass for the moment, but we will be calling this with a signal in a new node that we're going to make now. So we're going to be creating an option for the panel. So in the panel, we want the upgrade options to actually have an option. So we're going to be doing this by adding colorX. So we're going to choose the colorX, and we are going to be calling this item option. We're also going to be going to the 2D scene, and you'll get to see what it is. It's just a rectangle with a color. So I'm going to set the color to, I don't know, 140. I reckon that's pretty good. And I am going to be setting the layout to, I'm just going to make this 180, so 20 pixels less than our panel, and 50 down. So it kind of matches the same as our upgrade options. Now, I also need to set the custom minimum size to 180 and 50 because they will get squished in the container, in the vertical box if we don't set that. And now for this, we are going to, and I'm just going to make it so that the anchors are that. That's all good. And then we're going to be adding another colorX to kind of just showcase our item. We're going to make this completely black, so that works. And I'm going to be making it so that the layout, so this is going to be 24 pixels by 24 pixels, and it's going to be a 2 pixel offset on the X and Y axis, so it has a little bit of a border. And as a child of this colorX, we're going to have a texture rect, which is a rectangle that contains a texture, which I'm just going to add our sword. Now, this is a bit big, so if we try and set this to 24 by 24, it will resize it to the minimum size of the sprite. So we need to make this a bit smaller, and I'm gonna do this by setting the scale to 75%. And now this is 24 pixels by 24 pixels. I'm just gonna be calling this item icon, and then I'm gonna be adding free labels. And all of these are going to display certain different information. I am going to be adding our font to it, so OTF, and we're going to be opening up theme override, font, kind of just drag and drop it in there, and then these labels are going to be called something different. So label underscore name, label underscore description, and label underscore level. And you can probably guess that these will all say different things. So we'll have a name here, which will just kind of be the name of the item that is being placed. So I'm just going to make the horizontal alignment the center of that. And I'm going to be making it so that in the transform, it is going to be 40 by 23 pixels, and I'm going to be making the position 39 pixels to the right, I guess. And I believe that's all we need to do for the description. So our description is going to be called description of item, and we want this to be around here. Now, I'm going to be making it so that it has a word wrap on, so it actually does kind of wrap, so it sort of does that type of thing rather than just continually expands it. But in my layout, I am going to, well, first of all, I should just set the font size to 8, because this is going to have a bit more words in the future. And I'm going to be making this, the size of this be 162 pixels by 21 pixels, and I'm going to be making it sit at 4x 27y, so it's clearly out of the way. The font is very blurry in the editor, but it will be sharp when we run the game. And then we've got the level, which is just going to be level 1. And I want this font to be size 12. So turn on size font, make it 12, easy done. And I'm going to be making it so that in the transform, the layout is going to be 130 pixels by 3 pixels. And I believe that's all we need to do in terms of the item options. I'm going to be saving these in utility. And I'm also going to be adding a script. So in this script, I'm going to have a couple variables. One is going to be called mouse underscore over equals, and we're going to make that equal false. We're going to have var item equals null. We're not going to be using this item yet. This is just preparing for next tutorial. On ready var player, which is just going to be a reference to our player. So get tree dot get first node in group and player. And we're going to be having a signal selected upgrade, which is, and this is going to be connected in our ready function. So when we create an item option, we are going to be connecting the selected upgrade signal that we just created to the player. And the player's upgrade character function, which we made in our character earlier before. So I'm just going to Control S, save this. Now, the way this is going to work is that we want the player to be able to click on this, but none of these are items. They're just texture rectangles. Fortunately, there is a signal for mouse entered and mouse exited. So I'm just going to connect these, mouse entered, mouse exited, and we're just going to be making it so that when the mouse entered, we're going to be doing mouse over equals true, and with mouse exited, we're going to be doing mouse over equals false. And we're going to be making a pseudo button, and we're going to be doing this with a inbuilt Godot function called input. And this is just something that where it tracks any times there is an input. So the input we are going to be tracking is going to be a new input called click, and we're going to be making this respond to the left mouse click. So in our input, we'll check if event dot is action click. We'll be checking if mouse over is equal to true. We'll do an emit signal of select upgrade, and we will be passing in our item as an upgrade. Once again, we're not going to be doing anything with our item, we're just preparing for the next tutorial. So I'm just going to do a Control S for that. And now we need to go back to our player and spawn our item options. So I'm going to be going back to my graphical user interface, and I'm going to be doing another onReady var. And we're going to be calling this item options, and this is going to be equaling a preload of our item options. So when I type in item, we'll get item options.tscn. I'm going to add it there. And now we are going to scroll back down here. So the first thing we need to do is spawn our options into the upgrade options here. So the way we're going to do this is, before we pause it, we're just going to have a loop, which is going to have options equals free, options equals 0, var options max equals free, and we're just going to have a while loop where while options is less than options max, we are going to be instantiating our option choices. So have I gotten confused? No, option choice equals item options dot instantiate. And then we're just going to add it as a children of our upgrade options. So upgrade options dot add children, and add child option choice, and then we're just going to do a options plus equals 1 to exit the loop. Now this when we play it means that when we level up, we'll have options in our panel. We'll have 3 to be exact. Now, we still can't exit out of the pause state. So, in our upgrade character function, which will be connected via the item options signal, we're going to, number 1, clear out our options when one gets selected. So children equals upgrade options dot get children. And then we're going to just do a for I in option underscore children. We're going to be doing I.queue_free. And this is just going to remove any children in the upgrade options. Then we're going to do a level panel dot visible equals false. Level panel dot position equals vector 2, and we're just going to set this back to 850 like it was before. And then we are going to unpause the tree. So get tree dot paused equals false. Another thing I'm going to do is just take this calculate experience function and add it down the bottom of our upgrade character. So now when we run our script and we get our experience, we can click one of these to level up. And it plays and we're pretty much all good. And now if we kill enough kobolds, we'll be able to level again. And you'll just see the pausing in action. We're gonna need one more. There we go, that's a good one. So just click another one and I've leveled up. And you can just see that the game paused. Otherwise, we'll get back into theory time, and in the next episode we'll actually talking about inserting the item options with real values that we can then use to upgrade our player. As seen in the tutorial, pausing is extremely simple. All you need to do is set getTreePaused equal true and you will pause the game. After that, you need to write getTreePaused equal false to unpause the game. The only thing to note is that you need to unpause the scene with a node that is not paused. In our case, in the tutorial, because the level up panel is set to process when paused, and the children of the panel are set to inherit whatever state the parent is in, the item option is active and is able to send a signal to the script to unpause the game. The options on how nodes process pausing is the following. Inherit. You inherit whatever pause state your parent is in. This by default will likely be to process when the game is not paused and pause when the game is paused. Pausable. If pause is set to true, then it will be paused. If pause is set to false, it will run. This is exclusive of whatever the parent's node mode is in when paused. This will make the node only run when paused is on. Always. This will make the node always run regardless of whether paused is on or not. Disabled. This will make the node never run regardless of whether it is paused or not. When the level up function is called, we play our level up sound and change the text of the experience bar to match our appropriate level. We then tween the panel to the center of our screen and add 3 item option scenes into our upgrade options. Because this is a VBox container node and the minimum size of the item options is the same size as the VBox container, this will cause each option to display in a grid-like fashion. We also pause the game when we level. In our item options, we use mouse entered and exited signals to detect whether the mouse is over one of our options. When we click, we check if the mouse is over an item option, and if it is, we emit our selected upgrade signal, which will call the player's upgrade character function. The upgrade character function will first remove the item options in the upgrade options. We do this because we would have our item options begin to overflow when we level if we didn't. We then reset the level panel back to its original state, which was invisible and off to the right side. Afterwards, we unpause the game and also calculate whether we have any remaining experience to process with the calculate experience function, which may cause many multiple level ups in a row.